Hey guys, just wanted to show you my EDC, and I'll have a couple different levels of it. One of them obviously is my work EDC, and I do construction, so it's going to vary quite a bit from my casual EDC as well as my dress EDC for church. So first off, I know a lot of guys consider their wallets, their phones, their keys as their EDC, and obviously I guess that's the original EDC, so everyday carry. As far as a wallet goes, I just have a cheap old leather wallet. I will be upgrading this, not because I need anything better, but I want to get one of the RFID blocking wallets. They have scanners now that we have to be aware of, that they can actually walk by you and scan and pick up your credit card information, so that's something to be aware of. But for right now, that's just what I have. This is what I hold my keys on, this little Night Eyes S-Beaner. That is a number 4 Night Eyes S-Beaner. And a cheap $1 pry bar. It's actually pretty strong. If that breaks, then I definitely need something a lot better than that. But a little night core tube. I can't remember the lumens on it, but it has 2 settings. This one works pretty good if you're just looking for stuff in your car, and then this one will brighten up a whole room, or half a room anyway. It's fairly bright, and then I have a little 550 cord, just kind of something to hold on to my keys with, but having a little cordage anyway. But other than my car keys, house keys, van keys, shop keys, church keys, all that, this is the only thing that I guess you would be concerned with. Since I do construction, I wanted a knife that's very strong, and this Cold Steel Spartan is a beast. If you haven't checked it out, I've got a review on it. Please look at that. I've put it through a lot of abuse, and it's really held up, and purposefully, and you're not supposed to pry with your knives. I do fairly often, just because a knife is a tool and sometimes I need it, and it's 20 minutes to go leave a house or crawl down out of an attic or whatever and go look in your van and dig for a pry bar or something, but just something quick. So I did purposefully try to pry on this blade to see how much pressure I could put on it before it busted. This was when I was testing it, and I'd actually bought a second one. I've never had to use that second one because this one's held up pretty good. This came from prying a nail, and I got the nail out, and it put probably 15-20 pounds of pressure on it before it snapped, and I expected it to. But holds a good edge. I've batoned with this, and just to see how it holds up. And anyway, it's a heavy knife. It's a big knife. I like the one-hand deployment because of the I guess you call that a stud. It's not, anyway, that deploys when you pull it out of your pocket. So that's the knife I carry to work. What stays on my belt is this Leatherman pouch. Obviously it's beat up, it gets painted on, it gets pulled on, jerked on, it's hanging off the side of my belt. So this is my one of the main parts of my EDC. Basically in this, it has these 2 elastic bands on the side. I don't smoke, but I always carry a lighter, and it's come in handy a number of times. Something I think should be carried just as much as a flashlight or a knife. For a flashlight, I got this Through Night T10T, and this has been my favorite light. It's got 3 settings. It's got a firefly setting, a little brighter one, and then I believe it's 130 lumens on its brightest. That's not as bright as it gets. The battery's going dead, but it's titanium. It's a pretty tough knife. I've dropped it a lot. I did nick the glass cover there, but it hasn't affected anything and it's still held up. $50 flashlight. I have had others that are $20, $30 flashlights and they've worn out pretty fast, the buttons especially, because I use this every day at the house and every day at work. I'm in attics or dark rooms or whatever, just I end up using it 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, and so that button gets a lot of abuse. What I like about it, it did come with an extra button, not just a button cover like a lot of flashlights come with an extra rubber, because that rubber will wear out, but really by the time that rubber wears out, the switch is gone too. And so I like that came with an entire extra switch, button switch, and it's still held up quite a bit, and I've had it for a good 6 months. So obviously the Leatherman, at work I use this Super Tool 300. It's a beast of a knife, or a multi-tool. I'm not real fond of the tools being on the inside. The first Leatherman I got was a Wave, and I really like the Wave, and I don't like the tools being on the inside, but because of its size, it seems to be a little beefier, and the blade lengths are longer. Obviously you can tell I really used this a lot. So far the little screwdriver flathead here has broke. The tip is broke a little bit. I've had the tip of the knife blade break, and the tip of this flathead broke. You know, they're not invincible, but they're pretty tough knives, and you can order the blades on eBay, separate blades or whatever to put in there. As much as this has gone through, as bad a shape the blades are in, I'll probably just buy a new one and put this into another bug out bag for somebody, or just as a second option if something breaks. Also, while we're talking about it, the blades on these, the saw blades, they're really sharp, but also they have a really nice spine for striking ferro rods. So if you've got a multi-tool, that's one thing you can count on for getting a good spark off of a ferro rod. So inside that is the Super Tool 300. Also, so this pouch, obviously it's got the two elastic tubes on each side, and it's got a second pocket in the back. Inside that, I never even notice it's there, but it's always there, are tin foil. And when I was thinking of this, I was thinking this is what's going to be on my person if I'm hiking or whatever. So I've got tin foil for cooking. It's a survival item. Do I need it? Will I ever need it? Probably not, but it's there. As well as 6 of these quick tinders, and I believe they're basically cigarette butts that are soaked in some kind of wax. The reason that's so black is because the tin foil, if you rub tin foil, or aluminum foil on your skin a lot, your skin will start to turn black and you'll have to wash it off. Inside this quick tinder bag is also a mini ferro rod, so that I have something to strike the tinder with. And then also in the bottom of that back pouch, I've got about 15 feet of bank line. It's a smaller bank line. And then I've got a Walmart bag that was never opened. It was still pressed together, and folded it up, put it in Ranger bands. So in this one Leatherman pouch, I've got 6 of the 10 C's: combustion, candling, cutting, cooking, cordage, and container. And I don't even notice those few items stuck in the back of that little pouch. But these I use often, if not every day. If I'm just dressed casually, going out to eat or something, I'm usually not going to carry the Spartan. Not because of its size, just because it's Well, partly because of its size, but it's big, it's dirty, it's beat up, and usually I'll carry the Cold Steel Recon 1. This is a drop point. I don't remember if this is called Coyote Tan or Coyote Brown, but it's the brown edition. I don't think there's very many of them. And it is the CTS XHP steel, and basically that is kind of a higher carbon stainless steel, so that way it'll hold a edge better. This has been a really nice knife. It does hold a good edge. I really love the grip to it. It's comfortable, and it looks cool. I like it. It's probably one of my favorite knives. So if I'm going casually to dinner or something, I'm not going to carry everything here, but I will have this knife. Currently, I just emailed Cold Steel because I'm going to try to send this back. I was cutting down on some plastic and kind of pulled sideways a little, probably a couple pounds of pressure, and this, you can't really see it, but it's cracked, and it is cracked between the edge of the blade all the way to the thumb stud. So all that's holding this blade on right now is the little bit of steel behind the thumb stud. I'm going to try and show you that crack. There you can see the majority of it. It does get pretty tight up here, but it is cracked all the way. And it was only about 4 or 5 pounds of pressure of pulling this down and sideways that snapped that blade. I was hoping it was the plastic that snapped, but I kind of knew the sound was a little different. So anyway, that's that. And I really like the knife. I honestly have not used it enough to do a review of it, and I don't know if that was just a flaw in this particular knife, or if that stainless steel is just super brittle. I don't think it is, but I'm waiting to hear back from Cold Steel to see if they will replace this one. And but you can tell I've carried it a lot. It's got quite a bit of wear on the outside, but this is still, regardless of that one flaw, is still my favorite, one of my favorite knives as far as everyday carry. So that would be my casual, instead of the Super Tool 300 and the whole pouch and everything. I'd carry this Wingman, Leatherman Wingman, sometimes a Wave, but I do like this because it's got the spring opening, and that way you don't have to like try and push out to grab hold of something that's just there. And I like how the tools, like the Wave, are on the outside. This one's pretty new, so it's kind of stiff, but it's really stiff actually. But on the Wave, everything's still pretty tight, but it's loose enough that I can open everything one-handed from the outside and not have to open up to get to a tool and then have everything open while you're trying to use the tool. That's the only flaw in the Super Tool 300, and I think if they would make it this big and just put all the tools on the outside, I think that would probably be the best Leatherman tool they'd have, because everything is so much longer. It's more usable to me. Anyway, that's that. So this would be kind of a casual wear. So this would be my casual wear. And if I was going to church, wallet and keys obviously, in my suit pocket I would drop this knife, and then on the other side of my suit pocket I would drop my flashlight. This would drop down into my pants pocket, just for whatever reason. Not like this is real usable, but it does give me an option for somewhat of a plier option, or flathead, or Phillips screwdriver. But this is a Swiss Tech. This is a Swiss Tech multi-tool, so it's just something real slick. Can drop down or even clip on your keychain, just to give me an option where if you're wearing a suit, you don't want to have a big multi-tool in there. The odds of needing it are a lot slimmer going to church and then back home, especially when you've got something in your car, an EDC bag. My carry option is a Ruger LC9S. Really enjoy the gun. It's very comfortable. It's 9mm 7+1, so that's the Ruger LC9S. And while my Cold Steel is out of commission because of the crack in the blade, carrying this SE Avispa as a casual blade. This is pretty slim. It's a very nice, tight locking knife, very sharp. I haven't carried it much, so I don't know a whole lot about it as far as its durability, but it feels like a strong knife. Always carry an extra AA battery for my through night. And then finally, I always carry my headphones or earbuds. And yes, that is a Band-Aid on the one because the rubber came off the other. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Okay, and one thing I forgot is a zebra pin. Really good pins, they're strong. Anyway, they write well as well, and I always carry a zebra pin.